want to say welcome and well done. Economic diversification and post-oil and gas economy. Economic diversification and post-oil and gas economy. We will look at it from this point. We all know that diversification is all about channeling attention away from what has always been. That is the import of diversification. And we know that our country, Nigeria, is a mono economy. Mono economy in the sense that the financial backbone of this country is actually centered on the proceeds from oil. And more than about 90% of the budgetary funding of this country is based on inflow from oil. So every other sector of the economy contributes less than 10% of the total expenditure profile of this country. There is no country that survives with this. And we also know that any country that depends solely on oil is a poor country. Because most of the countries that have oil as their backbone are mostly the countries that are embroiled in endless crisis. Because of interest, people want to hijack the fund, people want to hijack power and control the flow of the fund. But any country that is successfully able to develop every other sector of the economy creates a stable economy. So it simply means that Nigeria cannot continue to depend on oil and still expect our economy to develop. That is the essence of diversification. But then the policy of diversification has just like been a slogan on the lips of every government before even this present government. What we now look at is how effective has the policy of diversification been implemented? Are we just trumpeting diversification, or are we really working towards diversification? What exactly can we really do and say we have really achieved the goal of diversification? Into what area, and how can we really diversify and then be able to unleash the potentials of this country? These are some of the things we really have to look at. And we have to kickstart this discussion by looking at the present disruption of the oil supply in the world and the very dip in oil prices in the world. As I speak to you now, the official rate per barrel is put at about $30 per barrel. And that is already going into a level of shock, global shock. So if Nigeria that made their budget, that pegged the oil rate at the budget, it simply means if this situation must subsist, then that budget will be untenable. So if we will continue to depend on oil and we have this type of global shock based on the coronavirus disruption, the supply chain disruption, the shutting down of different economies and all that, it simply means that Nigeria still intends to depend on the vagaries of the global economy, which is a very big problem. So I will rather throw it open at this point to ask ourselves, are we comfortable with the issue of the monosource economy? If not, what do we think should be done? I'm my brother Kachi. What do you have to say about this?
Good evening, everyone. All right, like our ED say, it's obvious that for a very long while now, Nigeria has depended on oil for everything. Our total earnings in Nigeria, oil contributes 80%, and our foreign earnings, oil contributes about 91% of our total foreign earnings. That means if you remove oil, Nigeria is in trouble. And it is already playing out with the current drop in the price of crude oil in the international markets. Just last week, the Senate has moved a motion to review the budget. That means we can't work without budget with the current earnings from oil. Why is it so? The reason is because we don't have the capacity to earn from any other thing. There is hardly any other thing that we are exporting apart from oil. We are running into the price of a naira to a dollar is going higher on a daily basis because they are not getting enough foreign exchange from what is happening in the international market now. So no Nigerian can be comfortable with this. We are not comfortable, and that is why we are pressuring and asking the government that the time has come for us to take the issue of diversification very serious. Take for example, agriculture is one area that we have discussed before, and it's one area that has so much potential in the economy of Nigeria. Before we discover oil, the economy of Nigeria depended on agriculture. And we are saying that if the government can pay extra attention, if the government can give the necessary support, if the government can encourage the graduates and young people that we have in Nigeria to venture into agriculture, that will be able to raise more foreign earnings from agriculture than what we are even earning from oil today. So we are not comfortable, and we believe that the only solution is still diversification.
The situation we are approaching into in terms of the oil crisis, I think it poses a new avenue for us to turn to. Because when we look at it from the economic side of it, the risk side of it, you see that even if we want to compete with the oil, we have a lot of peculiarities in our system that makes even the actual cost of production in our own system unfavorable to us with the actual pricing situation. Now, it's opportunity for us. We have been clamoring for the government to look inside in retrospect of how to bubble the economy from the inside. Not all this time oil. Now it's clear to us that we must face the music, whether we like it or not. The oil crisis is not going to just end immediately. It's going to linger for a time. And we need to find a way to absorb the shock and the confusion we are finding ourselves in. We have the agriculture, and our agricultural utilization is around 40% of arable lands in the country. So we have opportunity to go into full-time commercial agriculture. Also, our solid minerals, also we look into how to harness, improve this sector so that it can be a gold mine for us in this time of, I believe in Nigeria, we don't have anything to fear about in terms of this economic crisis, because whether it swings left or right, nature has already blessed us on what to survive the whirlwind that we are approaching. So I think what we have to do is look at our economic indicators, fine-tune the economic indicators so that it can be purpose and purpose-driven, not just an economy that is based on federal character-driven, but a system whereby everybody contributes what he or she has to the nation, so that we can move on from where we are approaching to where we deserve to be. And it's a time for us to change the mindset. Nobody will do it for us. It's unfortunate the loan we are looking for, the people that is going to give us the loan, they are already in crisis, and no right-thinking man can lend somebody money when he himself is in real deep crisis. So it's an opportunity for us to wake up and think out of the box.
All right, thank you very much. And also considering the fact that the world is going green energy, and the fuel issue contributes what we call the greenhouse effect, increase in carbon emission and the rest of them, thereby posing a very serious threat to the global existence. So I think it also adds to the reasons that should make it necessary that we consider diversification more importantly. And the lady in our midst now would like you to really look at it. How serious are we when we talk about our drive towards diversification? Do you think that we are really showing the level of seriousness that is required? And what aspect do you think we can focus on that can actually help us to achieve that goal of diversification?
diverse resources, both in agriculture, solid minerals, in our creatives, and the rest of them. The reason, of course, we are not serious. That's very obvious. The reason we are where we are today is that there has been gross mismanagement of our resources. If you look at other countries, you look at countries like Japan, many of them, even Belgium, don't have as much natural resources as Nigeria. Many of them depend on importation to sustain their economy, and somehow they are getting it right. Even those of them that have natural resources like Belgium that has coal that is not exactly relevant to them at the moment, somehow they are finding ways to survive. How much more we that have all these things at our beck and call here? So obviously we are not serious. So I would say that my colleagues here have mentioned certain things, and one of us talked about our natural resources, our solid minerals, sorry. I would say that it's necessary for us to develop vocation programs that will teach people how to mine, and because we have solid minerals, we have metals and the rest of them. So these things can be used for major manufacturing. It's not just enough to have them. We also need to be able to train the youth so that we have people that can mine these things, we have people that can convert these things to actual things that we can use. Then another industry, and of course, when we have young people that are gainfully employed in such industries, we have less of vices in our society.
It's important I also mention key focal areas, particularly as we talk about the disruption of the global supply chain of oil and the demand of oil, which has disrupted the oil price, and it has dipped seriously. We know that many economies will now be in shock, including Nigerian economy. So it's not really a pleasant time for us, and we also pray that the coronavirus will disappear from the globe so that we will have our economies restored. But we also know that aside oil, we talk about agriculture, which has the singular potential that can compare even better than oil. Then we also know the solid mineral sector. We also talk about the intellectual property, because the 21st century economy is actually driven by intellectual property. We talk about the ICT opportunities, the ICT possibilities in the globe. We can also lead in ICT. Then we also look at the arts and the creative industry. And all these areas and more, many more, pose a lot of opportunities for our country to really transform into a global economic hub. These are obviously not yet being done. Prof, what do you think, and which area outside agriculture and the oil do you think that we can really focus on, considering the state of the nation and what we think can give us a leeway?
Thank you very much. God blessed Nigeria in several ways. Even our oil and gas has not completely been exploited. Ondo State has the highest deposit of bitumen in the world, untapped. I don't know why such is being kept.
Did you say the world, sir?
In the world, yes.
Wow.
We have the highest deposit of bitumen in the world. It's on record. Yet, untapped. Sometimes we have the problem of regional restrictions. They don't want it to be tapped because they believe that one day they will separate and then they'll have something to hinge on in the economy. Some Indians visited Imo State and I took them to my village. The sand they saw in my village, say, wow, that this is market. But that's the sand we pack to build houses. They said that sand can produce more than 18 different things for them. Up to production of glass, television tube, flat screens. When we march on them, we call them nothing. And that kind of sand you find mainly within the Owerri region. You can't see it any other place. You know, they don't have that kind of sand. It's not common. Otamere has glass sand completely, but use it to build houses. That's just what we use it for. When we took a record of the number of solid minerals we have in Imo State, only Ohaji has a massive, okay, let me say, square meter of industrial salt. It's so massive that you can't finish tapping it in the next 100 years. In Okigwe, they have Kakao Lane. They have bulk clay in Mbese. It's so massive yet untapped. Ministry of Solid Minerals, what are they doing? All these things have just been kept there while we depend on oil. Only industrial salt can be used in producing more than 100 different drugs. We're talking about the clay, the one we call Unzu. There's a particular clay that is used in producing POP. We import POP into Nigeria. The POP is what is here, massive. They take it out from here, export it, they produce it back and bring it back to us. Why not build industry here and create the labor? Create a market, employ people. So we are so rich, yet so poor. Not because it's our fault, because of the fault of our leaders and unnecessary regional segregation. Because every Nigerian believes that we will not be together after some years now. Talking in terms of diversification, we have so much. Even human resources, personalities. One of the ways India developed their country is by exporting human resources. We had a lot of Indian teachers here in Africa. Indians taught me, I don't know about India taught most of us here. They were exporting them down here to come and teach and make money and take it back to their country. It helped them. We have the best, yet they are unemployed. We have the best, yet they are untapped.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We want to have Doc's view in view of the diversification and the need to tap our agricultural resources and then connect to other areas. Please, Doc.
I just want to clear a little observation somebody made about China. Economically, I think China is going to be better off than every country in the world. Why? You see, China did something marvelous. China have leaders and people who their mindset is always in the future. China, as of time I knew China about 10 years ago, China had bought raw materials for the next 100 years up front at the price of 100 years backwards. And what did they do this time around? They kept quiet about this virus, allowed the world stock markets, stock prices to crash. Then they used their people, encouraged their people with the excess money they have in their account to now use it to buy up all these companies. So China has positioned itself for the next 100 years to 200 years. That's a country that thinks into the future. That's a country that also realizes that they want to be a superpower. Superpower is not how many things you produce, but how you are able to control the other economies, align them to your own will, manipulate prices, and invariably, if you link that to agribusiness, you will find out that a farmer can never be rich, but a businessman, farmer, will always be richer. Why? Because the farmer will always toil, but the smart farmer businessmen know how to exploit you. We do agribusiness. I've done farming for a long time, and I've come to see that If I like sit inside the farm for the next 30 years, there's a limit, there's a cover I can never exceed. I found out that I will forever be working for another person who may not even know anything about the farm, but who understands the economics of connectivity. Realizing that this thing is needed at this point, and this man needs it, and this man cannot sell, he comes in the middle. If I would like to use the word, the middleman. He connects everybody. He puts his price as he deems fit, as he likes. So the farmer continues to suffer for him, and he continues to exploit. People say it's exploitation, I say it's business.